The American historiographical tradition typically is artisanal. Everybody is working on their own little corner of things, and so collaborative research is much more developed, say, in France, where they have what they call teams or équipes. And so this was much more like a kind of high-powered French project than it is a typical American one. A lot of world history textbooks I've noticed are written by 2 people or 3 people. This is 5 at any one time, 6 altogether, and so we were always bouncing ideas off of each other, reading each other's drafts, thinking up themes together, because we decided, you can't just write a world history as one darn thing after another. We should approach it thematically, and so I think it was my colleagues who suggested that I combine a 19th century history of the rise of nationalism with a 19th century history of reactions to colonialism. And those 2 themes not typically paired. It wouldn't have occurred to me to have done so, but it came out of our collaboration, and I think in the end it worked. It tends a bit to climate change. It attends to especially the communications revolutions, because it was conceived at a time when the internet was becoming a big thing, and it was clear that communications revolutions had all along been important in world history from the time of manuscripts and codex books and so forth. And then I think it pays special attention to parts of the world that don't always get covered, including all of Africa, and had 2 Asianists on the team, which is unusual, I think. So coverage, thematics, these I think are distinctive. Yeah, several of the authors in this book are themselves social historians, and of course the great Chuck Tilley is one of the authors, and brought to bear, I think, a special imagination about the social in explaining how the world developed. Tilley is famous for his work on collective action and contentious social movements, and he's able to address those kinds of phenomena in the whole canvas of world history, going back to medieval Europe. And I and some of the other authors have applied the tools of social history, which look at how large social groups behaved, what impact they had in Asia, the Middle East, and Latin America. I think, historians even just 60 years ago primarily attended to the elites. And there's nothing wrong with studying history of elites, but elites never make decisions in a vacuum. There's always social phenomena going on around them that have an impact on them. And so this book is not really elite-centered. It's in a sense a people's history of the world. We divided up the tasks not only by our specialties with regard to geography, but by thematics, and so there are chapters there which stretched our abilities, involved new research on things that maybe we hadn't written about. It's always the way when you do a research project. So I learned a lot about Islam in Africa because they asked me to write those chapters, and my work in northern Africa, in the parts we typically call the Middle East, was an entree into that. But the image of those Indonesian, what we would now call Indonesian merchants showing up off the coast of Africa and being chronicled by the African Muslim historians in the first millennium really was quite, striking and remarkable, and not a corner of history that I had known about before. So I would say for me, exploring, the progress of Islam throughout the African continent was a wonderful opportunity.